Hey there, everybody, and a very sad ahoy as we kick off
Oh,
our review and reaction to our Flag Means Death Season 2, Episode 8. This is the finale. There were good times in this episode. We had a
yes.
wedding, we had some romance, but we also have a funeral and some pretty sad times as well.
Yeah, we're not going to bury the lead here, but we lost Izzy Hands. This was something that we've talked about in all our videos this season was is the show giving us enough stakes when it comes to death? Because there's been a lot of like, is he dead? No, Izzy's not dead. Is this person dead?
Yeah.
No, they're not dead either. Lucia's dead? No, 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 he's all right. Like, there's been a lot of that this season. So
Mhm.
it was starting to feel that death didn't have enough weight in this show that was like, I don't have to worry about anything because everybody's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be fine. So when we actually got to this point where Izzy got shot, I was like, well, Izzy can't die. I
Yeah.
mean, he's been almost dead like a million times this season. Nothing kills Izzy. So it was very sad to lose him, but it was also good to know that death really means something on this show.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. Because like even at the start of this episode, the Pirate Queen, she's okay. Everybody after
Yeah.
the cannonball and the explode, I didn't know how they were gonna find their way to keep her alive, but no, she's alive. Izzy is gone. Gonna miss this character if the show gets another season because Izzy was just so memorable. He had built this really interesting relationship with Stede, and I was all for the idea of exploring it. But I will say that if you're going to lose Izzy Hands, I mean, this was a really powerful way in which to lose him. I thought the
Mhm.
memorial was really emotional. Even the final scene where we have the marker on his grave and you have Steed and Black, it really produced like more feels than I even know what to do with.
This was an incredibly emotional season. It really took me on a journey with so many characters, definitely with Izzy, and we're going to get way more into that.
Yeah.
But be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have lots of videos here on Our Flag Means Death. We will be back for the next season. If there
Yes.
is a next season, please let there be a next
No.
season. We also cover what we do in the shadows here at the channel, another favorite. So hit that subscribe button. It really helps to support the channel.
Yeah. Also, join our Patreon because on Monday we're gonna have a live stream. We'll talk all about our Flag Means Death over
Mhm.
there. We have a really good time doing those, and thank you as well to everyone who supports us over there on Patreon.
Absolutely.
Okay. We want to stay on the death of Izzy Hands or do we want to go to something
Absolutely.
happier?
No, we need to stay on the death of Izzy Hands because there was so much in this episode that he just spoke truth about. Like, we had seen everything that happened with the Pirate Queen. Her whole fleet is
Yeah.
gone. The English are in here. They're in Spanish Jackie's bar drinking all their drinks, making all the pirates do everything for them. And eventually there's this really interesting conversation with Izzy and Prince Ricky where Izzy is basically like, you don't understand what it is about being a pirate that actually matters and why it's so important. It's not about the treasure or the raids or the whatever. It has nothing to do with that, actually. What it has to do with is you don't feel like you're part of something. You don't feel like you're a part of your family or
Yeah.
whoever. You don't have a friendship group. You're not part of something. And then you become a part of a family with a bunch of other people that understand where you come from, that are feeling the same way. You're able to bond together in a way that other people will never understand you. And you become a family, a chosen family, which is so relatable to
Yeah.
so many people out there that may not have the best relationships with their own family and find their own family.
This is sort of just groups of outcasts from society. If we look at this in a modern lens, this is basically like the Mayans or the Sons of Anarchy. These like people who come from all different walks of life, who find a common ground. They come together. In the case of the crew of the Revenge, they are pirates who are off searching for adventure. Sure,
Mhm.
treasure can be a part of it, but it's the camaraderie. It's these relationships. And that's what makes this crew so special. And Prince Ricky, he can never understand this for so many different reasons. I mean, his status within the government, he is a part of an institution.
Mhm.
He's not somebody who is being hunted in the same way that pirates are being
Mhm.
hunted. His way of life is not in danger. It's Prince Ricky is the epitome of every obnoxious Prince character that we have seen on any of these shows. This guy just like sucks to the max. I cannot wait for all these other sort of people to just come at him.
Me too. But I
Yeah.
mean, with Izzy and his actual death, we see that they are able to sort of get away, and we see everything with Izzy having that conversation with Ed, which I think is also an extremely important conversation, not just for Izzy, but also for Ed, where Izzy was just like, listen, I knew, a few years back that you were not at the same stage of life that you were when I met you as Blackbeard. You were moving forward and you were becoming this better man, a different man. You were on a different path, but I needed you to be Blackbeard. So I fed into that side of you that I already knew you were moving on from. And for that, I'm truly sorry. I was just like, "Oh, ow, this is the moment that like I really was waiting for with this." Like true acknowledgement that he really was continuing to push Ed into being Blackbeard when he knew it was done.
I think knowing that it will help Ed to sort of release even more of that and be able to move forward, live his life under his own terms. Then there's so much that Ed has to figure out at this point because, at the start of this episode, he's trying to be Fisherman Ed. And
And he's out with Pop Pop.
Pop Pop was able to call Ed out pretty quickly on this. I've caught a fish. No, 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 Ed. This is not. There are a lot of other things that you can be. A fisherman is not one of them. I mean, I love seeing Taika embrace all these like different parts of this character, and this was really, really funny. But I don't think any of us believed for a second that Ed was going to finish this show as a fisherman. It just wasn't happening.
No, I would have been like incredibly angry
Yeah,
if this season had ended with Stede and Ed apart. Like, this would have been a very different video. And having him start out, still trying to be a fisherman, Pop Pop being like, whatever you're good at, go back and do that because this is not for you, son. You gotta go.
yeah.
And then we see him, coming back and seeing everything that's happening with all the ships, everything's on fire. He's, of course, worried about Steed. We see him go under the water, pull his leathers back out, and is like, let's go. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Him actually coming across the letter that Steed had written him was so cute.
They gave us some good Ed and Steed content in this episode. I know a lot of the internet was none too pleased about the idea of them going apart again at the end of episode 7.
Yeah, I was out on that. Like, we've already been on that road. I understood why
Yeah.
that Ed really needed to get his head on straight so that, because we know that his character feels that he's unlovable, and that can really be a thing that can push and pull you in and out of relationships and not allow yourself to have that stability.
I really like how they sort of reconciled a lot of it in this finale where they're able to come back together. And, there's not a lot of time, obviously, for them to talk through everything because of the battles, everything with, Izzy's death. But we end in the finale with the two of them in what I think is a really interesting place where now they can still have some adventure,
Mhm.
but they can run a hotel. Okay, as somebody who watched a lot of Faulty Towers when I was younger, and there wasn't actually a lot of Faulty Towers, despite how much notoriety it has. But
Yep.
I could watch 8 seasons of Stede and Ed trying to run a hotel together, all the wacky people who would come in and out with all of that. It's just a fun premise that allows them to kind of take a little bit of what they did at sea, apply it to land, not have to plunder or kill anybody.
Listen, if this if this is the final season, and please don't
Yeah.
let this be the final season, but if this is the final season, I am very satisfied with how it ended for Ed and Steve. That, uh, we knew that Ed really didn't want to go back to sailing the seas. He was really done with that. And Steed had had his moment of, fame and infamy and all that he had wanted to feel. So he had been there, done that. That they've come together where it's like, here's this happy medium where they can be together, really explore their relationship, put down roots together, run this in together where Izzy is there as well. He's been buried on the land there, of a reminder of sort of how they've come together, and they are all part of family, and they're not going to forget how they came together or any of their pirate adventures, but they are moving into this new adventure together, stronger than ever, putting down roots. That's what I wanted to see.
It is very sweet, and it is an acknowledgement as well of the pirating days are ticking away. That's a big part of what's going on with Prince Ricky. We talked about this a little bit in the past, is that the golden age of pirating did not last that long. And that is something that will probably be explored further in the event that there is a season 3 down the road. And I think a question that Ed and Stede are going to have to ask themselves is, can you really escape the past? Because while they may be moving forward, they've got the Ed and Stede Inn, which, by the way, I would gladly be a customer at this inn. I don't know how great the conditions are going to be based on what we saw of that place right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is with Prince Ricky is there was a mention of Captain Kidd, who was also a real pirate, and from the very little I know about him was like nuts. So the fact that there was that little mention of Captain Kidd tells me that that's a little bit of a possible season 3 that could bring Stede and Ed out of their retirement for one last adventure, that if the crew is running up against Captain Kidd, that they need to come in and help.
I think there's a good chance of that, because as much as I want to see Ed and Stede move forward, Our Flag Means Death, and despite my own wishes for a hotel set spinoff, this is a show about pirates. Like, they're going to find a way to get the two of them back on the high seas. I think the other great thing about Captain Kidd, imagine who they could cast for that character. They have done a very good job of casting on this show, whether it be your Minnie Drivers or your Leslie Jones. Like, there's going to be somebody out there who is eager to just go off and play around on a pirate ship for a little while. I mean, why would you not?
Okay, I also just have to put out there that I absolutely love the nod to Star Wars, where we had Ed be like, I love you, and Stede be like, I know.
It was
so cute.
It was really cute. And I feel like, Reese and Taika are probably people who really just, grew up being huge Star Wars super fans like so many other people. And this is an adventure in the same way that Star Wars has a bit of that. And I really appreciate how they molded so many different genres together. Even within this episode, you had a little bit of parody, you had a lot of action. We had the wedding of Lucius and Black Pete, which for me, I was about halfway through this finale. I was really kind of worried that they had just forgotten about this story altogether, because it's like, okay, they got engaged. What else is happening with this?
The minute that I saw that Stede and or Ed were not officiating this wedding as the captains of the boat, I knew they weren't on it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it gave away a little bit much with that, because I was just like, okay, they're not there. We haven't seen them exactly, but as soon as it was like not them standing there to be like, I now pronounce you, here's the knives, cut each other's faces.
So funny.
I was just like, oh, they're not on this boat. But it was cool to see that Spanish Jackie is on this boat.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the idea that next season they're going to be sailing with Spanish Jackie.
Leslie, I know you're busy, but you got to be a series regular now.
My
I would
goodness.
die if Leslie Jones is in like the majority of this season. And the Pirate Queen is still out there too.
Yep.
There's opportunities, I think, to really have a true motley crew of people aboard this ship moving forward.
I loved seeing the Pirate Queen on this ship with them. Like, just seeing sort of these few different worlds, because, you know, we did have the Pirate Queen was doing her own thing, Spanish Jack was doing her own thing, and now it's like they're all together on this ship.
There are a couple of things that just, to me, Max, if you're watching this, you formerly known as HBO Max weird streaming service, you got to bring this back, because
Please.
the Captain Kidd tease is really, really exciting. The idea of just pure revenge is very, very exciting to me.
Oh, yeah.
The real thing I worry about, obviously, with the end of this show is just that in real life, things don't exactly end great for the majority of pirates.
No, and they don't end very well for Stede or Ed. But I mean, if it comes back for a third season, I mean, they're taking huge liberties with these stories anyways, which is, you know, fun. They're not going to kill Ed or Stede. I mean, like, that's going to be like, I'm gonna be so mad if they come back for a third season and this is like the ending that I have right now. The two of them are together, setting down roots, you know, getting their in together, and then they like take a chance like that where one of them dies in the other one's arms. Like, that is gonna absolutely ruin the show for me. Like, it can't end that way, and I don't think that they will end it that way.
No, I don't think so either. If that happens, you know, David Jenkins needs to go and like find himself an island to just hide where there is no internet, so he doesn't have to hear any responses to it.
Yeah, just shoot yourself into the sun.
No, I really like this finale, though. I think it is excellent closure for this way too short 8-episode season. I know they don't have the biggest budget in the world, but they made the fight scenes still look really, really effective.
Oh, those fight scenes were so awesome. No, they were really effective. And it was really cool to see how much Stede had really learned. Like, seeing him on the beach and fighting and some of the cool moves he was making. I know he was kind of joking, be like, hey, I was also really good. No, you were really good. Like, Izzy helped teach you well.
Yeah, they showed a lot of character development over the course of this season, and I hope that doesn't get lost amidst all of the comedy and everything else. You can just tell the people who make this show really, really love making this show, because it is so unique and so fun, and we just have so much fun talking about it, because there's nothing else on TV like this. There's no pirate comedy adventure featuring two men like this. Like, it's just so special.
It's really special. Like, this show needs to come back. I really hope that it does. I really hope it does.
All right. Well, we will be back in the event we get that season 3 for Our Flag Means Death. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. Thank you to our patrons as well for your support, and we'll see you here next time.